We appreciate it, Alden. How are you today, sir?
Doing great, guys. How you doing?
We're very good. Very good. Certainly going to jump right in here with the Albert Pujols news. Take us through kind of what you know today. I guess, things have not worked out with the Angels, and as such, the Padres are jumping in line here to bring Pujols in. What more can you tell us about it?
Yeah, there are a lot of managerial openings this offseason, and Albert Pujols has been a pretty prime figure in this. We thought for a while that he was the front runner to get the Angels job, and it looks like that's just not going to happen. They've stopped talking. There's been a breakdown in terms of compensation, but maybe also in philosophy and what they want to do or what their visions are. At this point, that's not going to happen, and they've extended their search out to other people. And yeah, Albert Pujols is going to interview with the Padres on Wednesday. He's also drawn interest from the Orioles, though there's no interview scheduled there. And as it relates to the Padres specifically, look, as soon as the news came out that Mike Schill was retiring from his position, Albert Pujols was somebody who was, pointed out to by a lot of people in the industry about, hey, somebody who might be a fit for a role like this. Obviously, like the two key guys in that clubhouse, Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr., they would probably vouch for him as manager. Now, how far will that ultimately take him? I don't know. But, the fact that he's going to sit down and interview, I think, to me, the bigger thing here, whether or not he gets this job, whether or not he gets the Orioles job or some other job this offseason, it's pretty clear that Albert Pujols is being looked at as a serious managerial candidate. Even though he's outside of a stint in winter ball, he hasn't really done this before. I think it's pretty clear at this point that at some point, whether it's this offseason or another one, he's going to manage in the big leagues.
Alden, why do you think that is? I mean, you kind of hit on it, right? Not a very much managerial experience. We know who he was, Albert, the player. Why do you think he has garnered so much attention, given the fact that he doesn't have a long history of being in this spot?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I think, number one, Albert Pujols has always been somebody as a player who was revered by other players, and I think that carries a long way. And I think Albert also was known as somebody throughout his career who was a very intelligent baseball player, somebody who was very instinctual, somebody who knew how to navigate a game. I think that the combination of those two things go a long way with him. But also, I do think that what he did in winter ball opened up some eyes. Tony, I'm not sure if you ever played in winter ball. I apologize for not knowing that, but not in the Dominican. Okay. No. That is an insane atmosphere. These people there are baseball crazy in the Dominican. You go through like a 3-game losing streak and people want you fired. Okay. Like that, you talk about like the pressure cooker. Winter ball in the Dominican Republic is it. And the fact that he navigated that and his team, the Leones, got off to a really bad start. And for him to eventually like win the championship, like I think that opened up a lot of eyes. He's already been named the manager for the Dominican Republic. And I think also too, like the name Albert Pujols carries a lot of weight. So if you're an owner
no doubt,
who wants to make a splash, create headlines, like, yeah, you hire Albert Pujols. So I think that's why he's where he's at right now. But yeah, you're right. It's been a super rapid ascent, much faster than I would have imagined, but it's here.
Yeah, we'll take him. Like I said last week, I hope he's the manager because I'd like a chance to interview him and get to know Albert Pujols. That'd be a big deal to a lot of people around here, Alden. You touched on something caught my attention there, and when you talked about the Angels thing, though, and you said maybe a little bit of a difference in opinion how to do things. I guess it would be more of a generalization in terms of what would you think Albert Pujols' way, or what kind of things would he want to manage this Padre team?
I don't know that. I wish I did.
Yeah.
I think Albert wants to win. I think that's first and foremost.
Yeah, that might be the thing with the Angels. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. And I think too, and this is not an Albert specific thing, but this is like anybody who's going to be a first-time manager. There are a lot of times that your first situation could really set up what your managerial career can be. And if you go into a situation where you're not really set up for success, that could hinder you for the rest of your career. Like if it goes really poorly in a place, even if you are Albert Pujols, it's going to be hard for you to generate momentum again to get hired. So, and I think there was legitimate interest on the part of Albert Pujols to be the Angels manager. There was. I think also the fact that like his kids are in the Orange County area plays a part in it as well. But it's an organization that he knows. But I think having the infrastructure in place to succeed, having commitment from ownership that you're going to spend is definitely going to play a part. And honestly, as somebody like Albert, who I would imagine is a little bit more old school in how he approaches the game, I think having autonomy, or at least as much autonomy as you can get in today's game, in terms of what goes on in a game, setting your lineup, bullpen decisions, all that stuff, I think that will go a long way too. And having said that, I think that would be an advantage for the Padres. And Tony, you could speak to this, but from what I've heard from people who have worked there, one thing about the Padres is if you're a manager, they give you leeway. Like you manage a game the way you want to. You set your lineup, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's been my understanding. Like managers set the lineup, they make the bullpen decisions, and like that is definitely something that Albert would want.
Yeah, and that's certainly not a guarantee everywhere around the league. So
you get to do it, and then the fans get to criticize it the next day. That's how that works.
Well, that comes everywhere. Absolutely.
Alden, you mentioned it. 8 spots now open across Major League Baseball with the managers, and Albert's a familiar name. But if you had to guess, will we see as these 8 spots start to fill out? Will there be more familiar names, or will we start to see, names like the Tennessee coach that's rumored to be going to the Giants? Like, is that an outside the box type deal, or is it possible we see more names like that as this kind of fills itself out?
That was the biggest shock of all. I would think, Tony, that continues to be an outlier situation if that ultimately gets done. That's never been that would be an unprecedented move,
right?
And I give Buster Posey a lot of credit for doing that. But I think I'm sure there will be some names along the way that will surprise you. But like you look at somebody like a Ryan Flaherty, who you guys know well, like he's gotten a lot of traction for these jobs, understandably so. Somebody like David Ross, who's looking to get back into it, or Rocco Baldelli, who just got let go from the Twins, who has a lot of notoriety in the game. Like, I think it's interesting though, because a lot of these teams don't seem to be moving quickly enough on these managerial hires, or maybe it's just it hasn't been reported yet. But I haven't heard a whole lot from the Braves or the Rockies, or even I know they reached out to Albert Pujols' camp, but I haven't heard a ton from the Orioles. And this, you know how it is. Like this becomes like a game of musical chairs. When you have 8 openings, this can start getting really competitive really soon. And I'm surprised we haven't heard as much from so many of the teams out there.
Alden Gonzalez, ESPN. Very nice to him to visit here. We got Game 7 of the ALCS tonight. I wanted to really, really quickly congratulate you, Alden, on your story after the Ohtani game Friday night. And the reason I say that is I've been faced as a writer before, not to that level, but trying to describe something that is superhuman without doing too much hyperbole. And you struck the right chord after that game. Very difficult story to write, but I really enjoyed it. Well done.
Thank you.
But beyond that, Dave Roberts in the celebration said, hey, look, they say we're bad for baseball. So let's go out there and win 4 more and really make it bad for baseball. Is there any truth to what he's saying there in that regard? If the Dodgers win again, easily.
There's definitely truth if you check my social media. Yes, absolutely. I think one of Dave Roberts' greatest strengths as a manager is that he has this ability to figure out what the tenor of a moment demands and what people want to hear, whether it's his own players, whether it's the media when they're asking questions, or whether it's his fans who have been hearing from baseball fans in every other city about how they bought a championship and they're sick of hearing it, and they want to stick it in everybody's face. And that, for as much as it might have angered everybody else in the country, I think that's exactly what Dodgers fans in that moment wanted to hear. That, you know what, you say that we're breaking baseball, let's really break baseball, right? And I love it because I love the drama, and I know that people are going to get upset about it. And there is a lot of truth to people's gripe. I mean, look at the reason why the Dodgers are here. The number one reason why the Dodgers are in this position is because their starting rotation is insane, okay? And their starting rotation is insane largely because they spent a lot of money to buy these starting pitchers. Now, is that the only reason why they're the Dodgers? No, I think they do everything really, really well. And when you couple that with the financial resources that they have, you elevate yourself to this point. But I mean, look, it's funny because everybody thought that the Dodgers were going to break baseball this year, and they only won 93 games. And for them, that was not anywhere close to what the expectations were.
That's how they
but their
snuck up on
rotation
everybody.
got healthy. Yeah, and but their rotation got healthy at the end.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at their rotations numbers over the last month, it was insane. Like, nobody was even close in terms of starting pitcher ERA in the month of September. And it's just continued on through October.
Yeah, no, it hasn't changed much. I mean, you kind of hit on it, right? They have the most resources, but they haven't had too many missteps, right? I mean, Trevor Bauer was probably one that they would want back in terms of what they offered him, but because they have the resources, they were just kind of able to just wash over that, which most
exactly.
organizations wouldn't be able to do. But as you mentioned, they do a whole bunch of things right. And I'm not one of these people that think the Mariners or the Blue Jays don't have a shot, but certainly feels like that is the tenor.
I looked up the odds while we were talking, Tony. The Dodgers are minus 210 over either team to win the World Series. That's more than 50,
Right.
Like, you're not going to get a lot of money betting on the Dodgers in the World Series, Alden.
You know what, though? The main thing that has crippled the Dodgers in recent years, some would say, was the long layoff. The layoff between
we were just talking about this.
Yeah. The end of the regular season and playing the division series. And the Dodgers thought that they bypassed that. And lo and behold, they now have a longer layoff than they otherwise would have ever had that they got to navigate through.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope it trips them up, Alden, just for our sake. Anyway, great talking with you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Alden.
Again, I mean, being able to handle that Ohtani story without blowing it too much out of proportion was not easy, because that was one of the greatest performances any of us have ever seen. And, appreciate all the work you do and for coming on and joining us here in San Diego. Thanks again.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that performance is so good that no matter what you write that night, you're always going to feel like you came up short. I continue to feel that way, but thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it.
No, you kept it under control, which like I said, a lot of people would have just blown it, I think, too much. Like, I would have been reading it going, okay, enough already. But you didn't, you handled it right. Alden, thanks again, man. We'll see you soon.
No problem, guys. Take care.